Good evening, and welcome to Baby Stealer Training. I'm your instructor, Zippy the Hippie. Tonight we're going to discuss making money from Child Protective Services. The Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act provides federal funding to states in support of prevention, assessment, investigation, prosecution, and treatment of child abuse. It also provides grants to public agencies and nonprofit organizations for various programs and projects. This law provided the funds for the child protective system that we have today. The federal government spends approximately $33 billion a year, supposedly keeping children safe from abuse and neglect, not to mention the amounts paid by the various states and counties throughout the country. Although well-meaning when enacted, as nobody could righteously deny the need to protect children from abuse or neglect, this law has been abused by those looking for a profit. Even today, innocent families are being destroyed at the hands of these sadistic profiteers who stand to gain from keeping kids in the system. These people, we will refer to as system sucks. A system suck is a person who makes money off of foster children or children associated with child protective services. Oftentimes, they sign contracts that last for years, and with lots of money involved. Far too common, for example, are cases in which a family's poverty is confused with child neglect. Several studies have found, for example, that 1/3 of foster children could be back home right now if their parents simply had adequate housing. However, because they get so much money to care for these children, instead of helping the poor to find adequate housing, the poor have become easy targets due to their inability to fight child protective services by providing themselves with the best lawyers against a system with so much power and influence that they can simply snatch a child from a home at any time and for any reason, based on the monetary value of the child versus the parent's ability to fight. The system sucks are in turn fluffing the numbers in an effort to grow their businesses by simply making the problem of child abuse and neglect appear worse than it actually is. So they publish a few studies that support their cause, spread around the anti-child abuse propaganda to manufacture support from the taxpayer, and convince the public that the money is needed and used to protect children from abuse and neglect, while at the same time forcing the parents to pay for services or lose their children. Parents who can afford it spend thousands on lawyers to help with the court process, as child protective services creates a whole slew of legal problems. These lawyers, who prey off a parent's desperation, are often able to drag these kinds of cases out for years. This increases the hourly income that they get from the parents, practically sucking them dry financially for as long as it takes. Those who can't afford a good lawyer are given a public pretender, which is typically a lawyer who is paid by and friendly to the state. Public pretenders who are not friendly to the state don't get contracts to fight for the parents. Parents who can afford it are also required to go to shrinks for psychological assessments and therapy for both the children and the parents. Those who can't afford it are given other CPS cronies to provide these services, and these system sucks are paid by the state. There are also many other service providers such as drug treatment facilities and parenting education providers that contract with CPS to supposedly help the family in their fights to get their children back. Those who cannot afford the services lose their kids forever either to foster care, where foster parents and various other system sucks receive ongoing payments from the states to provide homes and services to care for the child, or adoption, in which case the system sucks get nice little bonuses from the feds. Many foster children have suffered heart-wrenchingly difficult lives, while caught up in the system that wants to keep them safe from good and loving, but poor parents based on the money that those who then control the child's life get from the government. For example, lawyers who are appointed to look after a child's best interest as guardian ad litem are given lengthy contracts by the states and paid to look out for the kid's best interest. The longer that kid is caught up in the system, the longer their contract lasts and the longer they have a steady income. It's as simple as that. If they can get the kid adopted, they get a nice little lump sum bonus. Then we have psychiatrists and private therapists that are able to get Medicaid payments in order to provide ongoing services for these kids. The more difficult the child, the more money they get. Therefore, foster children are much more likely to be found to have special needs and be medicated with psych meds than are non-foster children. That way the shrinks can drum up some really nice business with guaranteed money from the states to care for foster children, as well as receiving kickbacks from the drug companies for pushing their psych meds onto foster children, and the shrinks in turn hand over their records to the drug manufacturers for research purposes, and get a few kickbacks from that. Although it would be much cheaper to help a family and keep the child in the home, it is much more profitable for those who are against the parents to get and keep them in foster care. The estimated average cost of providing preventive services is $8,000 a year per family. The average cost of keeping a child in foster care, $40,000 a year. Foster parents are paid monthly payments to keep these children in their homes, although many have complained that it's not enough. The fact is that some foster parents are paid quite well. Many fosters take in several children at a time. And let's not forget, a foster parent can earn even more if the child has special needs. Eligible therapeutic foster parents can earn $20,000 a year plus medical benefits for caring for a developmentally disabled child brought through the program. Let's also not forget the group homes and treatment facilities which deal with children with special needs. In a residential child caring institution, foster care payments range from $80 to $250 per day. These, and many other financial incentives have caused children to be stuck in foster care, including the kids who otherwise could have gone home, if the families had simply been provided the services that they needed, and at a lower cost, so that they could be better able to care for their children. Thank you, and have a good night.